Oh, it looks pretty good. Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Welcome back. I'm Big B. Okay, we got the Deltaforce Vortex 34 on the block. All right. Actually, this freaking boat loves the freaking block. It seems like it just stays on the block since I built it. We've been dealing with some like prop walk issues. Like whenever we give the boat throttle, the back of the boat wants to walk out. Okay. And we're trying to solve that. All right, so I basically pulled all my hardware off. I've actually reinforced the transom of this boat, and we've actually found the farther we set this rudder off the transom, the farther back it goes from the propeller, like trailing edge. The farther we set this bad boy off the transom, the better the boat handles, okay? So we actually got us a longer, wider rudder blade, okay? 1 5/8 setback. This is a Speedmaster rudder. So I'm actually really excited to see what happens with this new rudder. I know a lot of you guys are too. And it's really funny. It's really funny to me. The Popeye, okay? The Popeye, right? The Popeye runs the same rudder, and this rudder is basically forward of the propeller on the Popeye, right? It's so odd that this boat's wanting to do all that walking out, and the Popeye don't do it. Now the Popeye actually has a stern mounted motor, okay? So kind of makes sense. Like my weight's forward in this boat. I was expecting to run my center of gravity forward, and it may not need all that forward CG. So we may be playing around with electronics placement, battery placement here in the near future. But for now, we're going to try the rudder, okay? And this is all things you got to do when you build a new boat, okay? It's just part of it, okay? Unless you're following like a very strict guideline, then this is stuff you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? This is just, yeah, part of it. So I got this rudder out the package here, and it is beefy. It's beefy, boy. Jeez, it's like huge. And this is actually the recommended rudder from Offshore Electrics for this boat, okay? So you got your hinge block. All right, I noticed that it runs a brass breakaway, okay? And I've also noticed that this block doesn't have a set screw, so you can't take this out, okay? It's built in to this pivot block. Okay, so if you wanted to switch your sides, you'd actually have to flip the whole thing over. Alright, so we have to figure that out, what we're going to do there. I also noticed that they don't drill the hole for your steering arm, like your connector, okay? They let you do that. Alright. It's beefy, man. It's really beefy compared like to the pivot block on this TFL rudder. Check it out. It's very, very beefy. Heavy. It's actually pretty freaking heavy too. So here's the base, and it's also beefy. The blade itself, nice. It's actually really nice. So you really don't see any CNC marks on the blade like you do on the TFL blade. You can really see them here. You see the long lines there. I usually kind of sand a lot of that out. This one actually looks pretty good. I got my fingerprints all over it. It's a long blade. I definitely don't think we need all that. We'll start off with it all, but probably gonna knock about an inch off at least. Okay, well, if you're gonna do it right. If you don't do it right the first time, you got to do it twice. That's what I got to do. So I don't think my through hole is going to work. All right, I drilled it for this rudder, and it's just not going to work with this one. I wish I'd known that. I would have had it prepped up. Fill that hole. Okay, that's a bummer. I was really not wanting to do that. Really didn't want to have to do that. It's gonna look good on there. It's huge. It's freaking huge compared to like what I was trying to get away with, you know. It's actually pretty big. Look at the difference in that base. Okay, so check this out. So you got the transom here, and then you got the whole filled, right? You just take one there and you pack that full of epoxy. That works. That thing about this is it has nothing to like hold that little round repair in. Okay, so what I do on the inside of the boat, on all three of these repair holes, inside and out, I do this. So transom, I actually feather it in, okay, that's our hole, and then I feather it out. So this is our hole, feather it in and out, inside and out. That way, when you put your tape on and then you fill it with epoxy filler, then the epoxy whatnot, your epoxy is going to be held into place. Okay, this way right here, it actually press around the circumference of the hole, and you can see it later on. This way, this is the correct way. This is that way. Okay, that's the right way to do it. Do something. So it's actually the next day. All right, I got my hole filled, all three of them. Turned out really, really good. Okay, when I finished filling this hole on the inside, I took a piece of cloth, a carbon fiber cloth, and went over my fill area, so it's like it's solid. It's done the right way, all three of them. Okay, mounted up my strut. I used that wedge so we angle our drive line slightly. I think that was a good idea. And I just kind of figuring out where I wanted to put my rudder. Now I could run my rudder with the block like facing in its intended position, and we could actually cover up all the holes. Like, who's gonna know? Nobody's gonna know, you know. And that probably could work. I could probably scoot it over to like right here, right up against my cooling line, but it's kind of like close to my prop. On a full swing, it's like really close. So also I would have to flip the whole servo over, and the steering arm wouldn't clear the top side, so that's not going to work for my boat. Now your boat, you could get it to work because you could like position your servo basically wherever you want it when you do your build. So I'm actually going to opt for my rudder position right here. Okay, and then all we're going to see is that one little hole that I had to fill. A little marker or some paint, cover it up. It'll be barely noticeable. I probably won't even do it. I'll just leave it, you know. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do. All right, got plenty of room for our rudder throw. I had to drill out this top hole. Remember, it was designed to be run like this, the top hole, and then you had the little breakaway hole. So I drilled it out, and we'll actually be using a plastic breakaway. It's what I use for all my boats, so it just kind of works out. So we're going to mount it like this. Now, I got the 1 5/8. I think I'm going to actually order the 2 1/4 inch bracket as well. So once I do that, we'll be able to change this hinge block out to a 2 1/4 and play around with setback. For right now, I'm actually going to run this this block right here on it. Okay, I wish I would have waited one more day to make my order. I would have known that the 2 1/4 inch setback worked on this boat and the 1 5/8 didn't. So it is what it is, which I'm sure that this 1 5/8 would work because we got a longer rudder. But I'm just going to put the block on there and call it done. That way when I get the 2 1/4 inch setback, I'll actually have a 2 1/2 inch setback, and that's really going to like sweep the back of the boat out. Okay, so that's going to be cool. All right, so I'm basically about to drill all my holes. Just wanted to show you guys what it looked like beforehand. Basically going to kind of get it close to the strut bracket there. Make sure my steering rod's going to line up. Probably run the connector on the bottom. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to use this aluminum tube right here for my through hole. I'm going to epoxy that into the boat. I actually found this big bellow. I didn't know I had it. I was digging through some stuff last night. So that's going to work out perfect, okay? And that's going to basically go right here. Bellow on the inside like the previous setup. Who's going to know? Nobody's going to know. Nobody will know. They'll know. They'll never know. Alright, so she's done. She's done. I got it all installed. Got the washers and nuts on the inside. It's a long rudder. Super long. And I'm thinking that we'll probably end up cutting it off about an inch. Maybe even an inch and a quarter, inch and a half. But we're going to run it long just to start off with. And kind of what I like to do when I shorten rudders is incrementally shorten them. Cut a little bit off, take it out. Make sure it handles good, cut a little bit more off, take it out, etc., etc., until I get the right length. Long rudders create a lot of drag. Dual rudders create a lot of drag. If you run dual rudders on a boat, not necessarily a hydroplane, but dual rudders in general, especially on a mono, they lean, so you can get away with really short rudders if you're running two, so you guys know. I got the block on there. All it is plastic, basically. This stuff right here, it's actually from Food Line. It was a sign, like a display that had like stuff hanging on it, and it's made really good like material for making blocks and miscellaneous parts for my boats. I got a bunch of it. So yeah, so I run my linkage on the bottom. That through hole worked out really good. It's a cold straw, like you drink out of. It keeps your drinks cool when you're sipping on them. And I sanded off the blue on the outside. And I've used it for a couple things here and there, but that's what I use for my through hole. You ain't gotta have nothing fancy, you know. Yeah, I used a piece about that long, thickened epoxy with carbon fiber for strength, and I'm just really waiting for that to kick off and finish, you know, curing out before I take it out. I want to take it out right now because I have plenty of time in the day to do it. So we're going to run the boat real quick. This is the closest water to my house. It's not really big enough to like hold wide open throttle in a turn, but it's the closest water to my house. So we're going to test out the Speedmaster rudder. Okay, really excited to get it on the water. All right, yeah, man. I only got one set of packs just for testing. We're gonna see what happens here. So I'm gonna try to keep it rather close. Okay, we'll do some small ovals. It's not really big enough in here to do like wide, you know, like on full throttle the whole time. We'll have to do that at the speed run spot. Oh yeah, that's her. That's her, boys. The longer rudder. That's what it was, y'all. Yep, the longer rudder. Oh, it's night and day right here. Ooh, it feels good too. Full trigger, full trigger. Yeah, so we'll take it to the speed run spot. You know, I'll try to find a day when I can catch it when we don't have a whole lot of tide, you know, and we'll do some big ovals. And I'll put a curved turn fin on so she hooks up real nice. We can stay on the trigger the whole time. That's definitely what it was, boys. I just installed the wrong rudder, the wrong setback, you know? And I really think that tapered rudder had a lot to do with it, you know? Oh man, night and day. Oh, I'm tickled to death right here. Not even kidding. Actually looked like it wanted to walk out a little bit right there. Ooh, started dancing. got you guys zoomed in a little bit. So it wasn't my steering rod, you know, the steering rod looks like it's good. And I actually have a bigger through hole now, and there's a little bit more flex when I push on that steering rod. But the previous through hole, it was real tight, you know, so there wasn't much flex. But now I have some flex with the bigger through hole, so I might go to stainless steel. Oh, she just kicked out then, but I got on it like just blipped it full trigger right off the bat. I got my strut kind of high, or I guess low. The back of the boat is high, I guess I should say. It's handling a lot better, man. Still wanted to kick out a little bit right there. Did you guys see that? All right, that's about our battery. That's the hardest I've been able to run this boat ever. That's awesome. She handled good. So now we'll start playing around with props, you know. No water. Yep, not a drop of water in there. That's awesome to see. All right. So the ESC 107, 113, 14. That had a 121 somewhere. Wires 109, 87 on the motor ESC. Wires, the motor 121, 129, 29. That's good. 136 is my highest temperature out of everything. So I probably, okay, yeah, so I probably could have went down a little bit more on this water pickup. You know, I actually moved my water pickup to the right side of my strut. I've been running it on the left side, so I may need to move it or just bend my tube a little bit so I get better flow, better blast into my pickup. That's awesome. That's awesome. It ran pretty good. Man. So you know, the setback and the length probably and the taper had a lot to do with the prop walk, and it was fun. Going through all that with you guys. I know I made myself look like a freaking moron by putting a rudder on that didn't work, but I'm only human like the rest of you guys, you know. And it just goes to show you, even the best RC boater that you know, at setting up boats gets things wrong, you know. And I'm not saying I'm the best by no means, but you try something, it don't work, it's not the end of the world. You just reset and get back at it. Don't let it get you down, you know. I've had several boats that I've had to go through and switch things up. Center of gravity, like electronics, stuff in tubes, stuff in tube placement on mono hulls, like testing different heights to see the difference in the boat's handling. Rudder lengths, you know, setbacks, tapers, struts, flat bottom versus round. There's a lot of variables that you could get wrong when you set up a boat. So yeah, I was happy to see it running good. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Big B, we're Ironclad RC.